Saddam Hussein. It was the year 2003, and Saddam Hussein was hiding from the U.S. Army far away from Baghdad, the capital of Iraq. He was concealed in a small pit inside a farmhouse so tiny that standing upright was nearly impossible. As the U.S. Army scoured every inch of Iraq, especially Baghdad, searching for Saddam, he spent his days in this pit. Later known as the Spider Hole, this hideout was located in a small village called Ad-Dar, just 15 kilometers away from Tikrit. Saddam's birthplace. Saddam knew that America had advanced technology. If he stayed above ground for too long, he could be spotted by American drones or spy satellites. So he dug a small pit in a corner of the farmhouse. Malways covered with a wooden square lid. It is believed that Saddam's close bodyguard, Mohammed Ibrahim, suggested the idea of the spider hole. When Saddam was being hunted in Baghdad, Ibrahim safely guided him to this farmhouse using his network. Ibrahim knew that the U.S. officers would eventually try to find Saddam through him. So he returned to Baghdad. However, he left 2 trusted servants at the farmhouse to take care of Saddam's needs and perform small daily chores. While hiding in the spider hole, Saddam spent his time reading the Quran and writing stories in a diary, correcting mistakes whenever needed. This routine helped him pass time, as he often felt bored and constantly feared betrayal. Saddam was more afraid of being betrayed by his own people than by Americans. To minimize contact, he kept his needs simple. He had a small torch and a few batteries to see in the dark, and a tiny fan for ventilation. He also had a radio to stay updated on important events in Iraq. Saddam only went out at night for toilet breaks or brief walks, fearing that daytime exposure could be detected by drones or satellites. His food mostly consisted of chocolates, canned food, and dates prepared by his servants at night, with boiled vegetables and rice as staples. One delicacy he particularly craved was mazgouf, a famous Iraqi fish found in the Tigris and Euphrates regions. Mohammed Ibrahim would personally deliver this fish once a week. Ironically, it was this very habit of enjoying mazgouf that eventually led to Saddam's capture. Why was America after Saddam? The U.S. suspected that Saddam possessed nuclear weapons, chemical agents like sarin gas, VX nerve agents, and anthrax, which could be supplied to terrorist groups. Additionally, they believed he was secretly funding and supporting Al-Qaeda and other terrorist organizations. After the 9/11 attacks, the U.S. could not ignore any such threat. They clearly warned Saddam to surrender and hand over his weapons, but he refused and started preparing for war against America. Capturing Saddam became a top priority. On March 19, 2003, CIA Director George Tenet informed President George Bush about secret intelligence. Saddam was hiding with his sons, Uday and Qusay, in a bunker beneath a villa in Baghdad. The U.S. launched an attack on that bunker, using bunker buster bombs at 5 p.m. the same day. However, Saddam had already escaped through a secret tunnel network beneath Baghdad, which could withstand even these bombs. Saddam moved from one safe house to another, avoiding capture, to help soldiers identify Saddam and his close associates. The U.S. created playing cards with their faces printed on them. Saddam was on the ace of spades, Uday on the king of spades, Qusay on the king of clubs, and the rest of his officers on other cards. Despite numerous raids, there was no concrete clue about Saddam's whereabouts. The U.S. announced a $25 million reward for information on Saddam and $5 million for his sons. This reward eventually led to a breakthrough when Uday and Qusay's villa owner provided information to the Americans, hoping for the reward. On July 21st, U.S. forces surrounded the villa. The Sons fired on them, and the soldiers responded with rocket launchers, killing Uday, Qusay, Uday's 14-year-old son Mustafa, and a bodyguard. A few days later, a tape from Saddam surfaced, in which he called his sons martyrs and vowed revenge against the U.S. The final capture. Months passed, and despite multiple failed raids, Saddam remained elusive. CIA officer Eric Maddox targeted Saddam's old contacts, his drivers, cooks, and bodyguards. Through interrogations, Maddox discovered that Saddam trusted his bodyguard, Mohammed Ibrahim, completely. Ibrahim also led a small guerrilla force against the American occupation. Information revealed that Saddam loved mazgu fish and that Ibrahim often visited farms near Samarra. To catch it, Maddox decided to raid one of these fish farms to track Ibrahim. By chance, Ibrahim happened to be at the farm, buying mazgu fish. When Maddox captured him and promised full security and American citizenship for him and his family, Ibrahim revealed the location of Saddam's hideout. On December 13, 2003, Operation Red Dawn was launched. American commandos wearing night vision goggles surrounded the farmhouse in Ad-Dar. They found only 2 servants who tried to act clueless. Then Mohammed Ibrahim pointed to a thick rope leading under a wooden lid. When the commandos lifted the lid, they found a tired, disheveled man with a long beard raising his hands, whispering. He said, "I am Saddam Hussein, President of Iraq, and I am willing to negotiate." Saddam was calm, showed no resistance, and his face reflected the despair of defeat. The commandos found a block pistol, some cash, and 2 rifles with him. Saddam was then taken to a high-security U.S. military base near Baghdad. Interrogations focused on his weapons, programs, and alleged terrorist connections. He remained mostly silent. By June 2004, Saddam was handed over to the new Iraqi government to face trial. He was accused of the 1982 massacre in Dujail and sentenced to death by hanging. And that, friends, is the story of Saddam Hussein's capture